Massive panic at Conservative Party headquarters as the Toronto Star is reporting that Pierre Poilievre is doing very, very poorly among the communist demographic who wants to abolish the police, rent, and basically the rest of the country. Anything that fit on a Bristol board, really. Poilievre is not winning them over, and Chantal Herbert has the scoop. So, okay, I think we all realize that I'm being ridiculous, but I am simply just parroting the same things the Toronto Star and many left-wing commentators have said about Poilievre. And I think this needs some analysis. I've called this the mean girl strategy of the Liberal Party. And it's one, very effective, but two, not effective long-term, or counterproductive long-term. Now, I say this. The strategy with Poilievre is to paint him as unpopular now. Now, you'll notice that this kind of contradicts what they did when Poilievre started. Remember, Poilievre was so popular and all these rallies and people coming to him that he was a populist. I wrote an article on this. I spoke to like the Globe's head of politics over his head. Right? What they clearly did is they are using populist or as a slur for crazy right winger. It's what it means to the left, or right winger they want to smear as crazy is probably a better accurate definition of what the media sees as populist. Right, the actual definition is someone who's a populist politician is someone who campaigns for the people and not specific interest groups, which is every politician. As I said, if there's one politician that ever comes out and says, I'm for the bankers and not the clients, fine, they're an anti-populist candidate by definition. But everyone else, by definition, is somewhat populist. But the populist slur is reserved for right-wingers who step out of bounds. So because Poilievre was so popular, they smeared him as a populist. And now he won, so to juxtapose him against Justin Trudeau, you don't want to say that he's popular, lots of people like him, because emotionally that hits people on a level that, oh, if he's popular, then there must be something good about him, and then I will vote for him, right? We're pack animals. It's built into our DNA to stay in the herd. Don't, go away from the tribe because that's where security is. So this is where the unpopular diss hits Poilievre. It's with, people who are sort of socially conscious but not that politically aware. They get mainstream media news and they see, oh, Poilievre, very unpopular, 8 paragraphs down, among communists who said they'll never vote conservative anyway, right? But you bury the lead, not everyone reads it, you get inundated with all these headlines, Poilievre unpopular. This is the mean girl strategy, right? This is a group of popular high school girls, and there's a new girl from out of town, and she's kind of interesting, kind of maybe popular, slightly good looking, and she's starting to make friends with the boys and the girls and everyone, and they feel threatened, so they spread rumors about her, right? And then in order to maintain social popularity, you start with, as high school girls do, you go with, oh, I'm not saying anything bad about her, but, she's very unpopular, right? And a lot of people are saying that, oh, she's icky. And if you sit with her at lunch, I don't want people to think that you're unpopular just like she is, right? This is the mental trick. Is that, okay, social harm if I sit with new girl from popular girls, I scared, I stay there, right? And since the general left has control over the legacy media, you can perpetuate this narrative, but the narrative doesn't work long term. It would work very well on O'Toole, who sort of became leader, then we'd go to an election, right? Within a less than a year cycle, you can do this. But the problem with politics is it's a game of familiarity often, right? And there's a great sort of take from Douglas Murray I've loved is that countries without monarchies tend to start electing monarchies in themselves, right? You have Bush 1, Bush 2, Clinton 1, Hillary runs again, right? You had Obama come out of nowhere being very popular, but now everyone's talking about Michelle Obama running, right? The name recognition. Trudeau, his father, right? Doug Ford, Rob Ford. Olivia Chow was married to Jack Layton, right? These sort of political dynasties we go towards because ultimately what people vote for a lot is comfort and familiarity, right? The more comfortable and familiar you are with someone, the more likely you are to perceive them as sort of comforting and thus vote for them as a good leader. So you can smear Poilievre as much as you want, but there's a point where it hits critical mass. As you see Pierre Poilievre's favorability ratings go up and up and up and up and up. And you could say, oh, what's he doing here? Is this his policies? Because he's really good at saying this, that, and whatever. And the answer is ultimately no. This is just a natural progression. As he becomes leader of the opposition, as he gets more media time, as people hear his name more, and they can connect the name to the face and the voice to the face, they'll like him more because they're familiar with who he is. people, if they don't know who he is, are more likely to go, I don't know. Unfavorability. I look at one headline, right? But the more you're familiar with someone, the more likely you are to like them and therefore vote for them. So this is it a disinformation campaign? It's not disinformation. It's more like disemotional information, whatever it is. Over time, right, if the election's coming in 2025, the more and more you talk about Poilievre and have people refer back to him, the actual less effective it's going to be, because you're going to see his favorability rate go up. And, right, the stats bear this out. This is a lie, right? The Conservative Party is polling ahead of the Liberal Party, right? But we always hear Poilievre unpopular with women because Trudeau's more popular with women than Poilievre is. But Poilievre's more popular with men than Trudeau is with women. And, men hate Trudeau more than women hate Poilievre. This is never brought up because the great leader must be seen as popular. So I ultimately think this will fail, and I think this is more proof that, like, the globalist plan, it's not being directed by, like, Klaus Schwab and all these geniuses moving pieces on a board precisely with his end goal. This is more sort of a nebulous hive mind of the left, just going on entropy and doing its thing, right? You have good soldiers who are believers, who are not thinking in, like, meta terms, but like, no, Poilievre, I don't like him, and I went to my office and everyone else at the Toronto Star didn't like him, therefore he's unpopular. But I should reach outside my bubble. Let me call this lifelong communist union head. Do you like Poilievre? No. Okay. Oh, well, everyone I know, because I've blocked everyone, because I blocked everyone who writes the National Telegraph on Twitter, they hate Poilievre. But, again, the way human psychology works, this is very good as a short-term strategy. It is very bad as a long-term strategy. So if there's any solace in that, as you're getting mad at the media for doing this, just know, as I've said, they've done this Poilievre's entire term. His favorability ratings personally just go up and up and up because that is a measure of familiarity. So the more you talk about someone, eventually people just become familiar and acclimatize. Then they like them more as politicians. Then they're more likely to vote for them. So if I were the Liberal Party, I would maybe try and not be ridiculous and try and govern effectively. That might help you win more seats. Or you can just ban news on everywhere and throw the country into chaos. Either one, you pick.